And now for something completely different. I found out it doesn't work with quarters. This is my dad's. I just came across it. I was like moving stuff around. It's one of those keepers. Reminds me of him. He was such a patriot. Ooh, that one didn't make it. Of course, this is a reproduction. He found it in a catalog. Uncle Sam. It's a bank, of course. I had a friend come over this morning to help me with a lamp that needed some repair, and she is one of those like total snowflakes. I mean, I've known her since I moved here, and for the longest time we kind of agreed on things, and you know, that was fine. But now we can't talk anything about politics. Of course, she hates Trump like crazy, and she's still disappointed that Hillary didn't make it in there. And yesterday, she went to the march in Charlottesville to help support the students that I guess want all the guns taken away. I don't know. You know, I've been watching videos about what's been going on with that. And, oh, cat's on the move. And it's just, you know, it's just, everything is so different now. Like when I was growing up, we were having race riots, and Martin Luther King had been murdered. And so I lived in like the downtown of Syracuse and went to a high school that was 50% black. And I mean, I got along with everybody. I had black friends. I had a black boyfriend at one time. And, you know, my parents were kind of like, well, we just want you to think about what people think about you doing this. Not like we want you to stop doing it, but we just don't want you to be judged by other people. I mean, that's how great they were. You know, it's like they were more worried about what other people would think than them putting limits on me and saying, oh no, you can't do that. I'm sorry, but you know, you have to break up, and you're not allowed to date anybody outside of your, you know, culture or your race or, you know, whatever. So, so anyway, my dad was a teacher at one point in the high school that I went to, and he taught a 3-year technical drafting course, and he was very good at, because he was a born teacher. He loves to explain things. You know, he loves to draw, and he gets along really well with young people, and he was actually very inspired by young people. But during the race riots, he was actually pushed up against some lockers. He was shoved around in a hallway. He was 6'3", you know, and the black kids were like acting out. They were running through the school. They were going through the auditorium. They were slashing seats in the auditorium. At one point, somebody picked up a trash can and threw it through a plate glass window. And I mean, talk about being terrorized. You know, these kids who think that at any time some mass shooter can come into their school and start shooting people up, when there's only been about 60 young people in the last 50 years who have died in mass shooting, gunfire. It's just, you know, so I talked to my friend Lori about, so how was the march yesterday? And she was very sincere about, well, I had to go support the young people. You know, I mean, they're just so scared about, you know, gun violence in their schools. And all I could do was say, oh, I know, you know. And it's like, please, give me a break. You know, all this stuff is just, you know, mass media made up, trying to get the guns away from everybody, take away the Second Amendment. And there was a point where, well, you know, Dad was a very nonviolent person. But when, you know, the riots were going on in the downtowns of like so many major American cities, only a few blocks away from our house, some white person was pulled out of their car at a stoplight and severely beaten, luckily not killed, but you know, it wasn't too far from where we lived. And Dad started talking about, well, maybe I should get a gun, you know, to defend my home and my family. And he wouldn't have known the first thing about using a gun. But I mean, you know, that's sort of where, I don't know, all the tensions and everything come from. But anyway, hope you enjoyed my fun with the Uncle Sam bank.